Going in the right direction. And then I start hearing, Magic, you're not working hard enough. Magic's not in the office. So people around the Laker office was telling me, Rob was saying things. And
Rob Pelinka.
Rob Pelinka, and I didn't like those things being said behind my back, that I wasn't in the office enough and so on and on. So I started getting calls from my friends outside of basketball saying those things now were said to them outside of basketball. Now, not just in the Laker office anymore. Now it's in the media and so on.
And these are people you trust.
Exactly. And people got to remember something. Being in this business for over 40 years, I got allies, I got friends everywhere, right? And then I had to monitor the brothers because Joey and Jesse wanted more involvement, wanted more power.
The Bus Brothers.
The Bus Brothers.
Right.
And so I said I didn't mind doing that because they're good guys, but also I sat them down and said, hey, listen, I'm gonna really help you guys mature and get better. And so I took that role as well because they felt they should have been, in powerful positions, whether that's the general manager or the president, right? And so, then when those things start happening too much, Stephen A., the straw that broke the camel's back was I wanted to fire Luke Walton. And we had max 3 meetings. I showed her the things he did well and the things he didn't do well. And I said, listen, we got to get a better coach. I like him, he's great, former Laker, the whole thing. So the first day, well, let's think about it. Second day, okay.
That's Magic Johnson on ESPN's First Take, talking to Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. Welcome into the show. It's Views from the Sideline. It is May 21st, 2019. I'm your host, Chris Pappas. Alongside me, my co-hosts, Joey Tysick and Malik Hill. Fellas, what's going on?
Small flex by Magic Johnson saying, I've got a lot of friends. A lot of people that I know.
He had a couple small flexes.
I mean, he definitely does, but I thought it was funny.
He's got to let people know that he makes a lot more money outside of that job, too. So, which he does. It's just funny. But it was a great interview on ESPN's First Take. You can't really say that all the time with certain guests on shows, but Magic seemed to be extremely honest with everything that went down with his crazy situation of leaving the Lakers and stepping down as the president of basketball operations. I just want to get your, before we jump into everything else, we got a lot to talk about on the show today. But you guys, you saw this clip, you watched the show. How does Magic come off in this interview?
I mean, I think he's honest for the most part. I'm not gonna completely jump to his side necessarily, just because obviously we don't know everything, and I've always felt, and I guess it's natural for a player or an icon of his status to have a bit of an ego, and that's where I don't necessarily always like Magic Johnson. But obviously he's got a lot of pull in the league, and I think he really did want the best for that team. So for the most part, I do believe him. I think that that's probably how the Lakers organization does work, is that kind of works from the top down, and he thought that he was actually going to get to make more decisions where he really wasn't, and then people were upset that he wasn't in the office all the time because he had told Jeanie ahead of time, Jeanie Buss, owner of the Lakers, that he wasn't going to be able to be around as much because he has all his other eggs in his baskets, multiple baskets, the owning partially of the Dodgers and stuff like that. So he's kind of an investor, so he's got a lot of other things going on. So he said he couldn't always be in the office, and I guess that made a lot of people upset.
Were you surprised that Magic brought up Rob Pelinka by name and called him out on TV like that.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised by that. You don't see that too often, as people just blatantly calling people out. So obviously it definitely seemed to have hurt Magic, thinking that, he thought Rob was a better guy than he is, and
Maybe
it doesn't
even
maybe discredit him fully, but maybe just a little bit of a rough spot.
Malik, what about you? What did you think? Just quick thoughts on this. We'll talk more about Magic and the Lakers fallout a little bit later in the show, but just after you saw this clip, what was your just initial reaction?
I was really completely surprised about how honest he was about the entire thing. I didn't expect him to name names and go into extremely specifics about everything and going into every detail. It was surprising. And yeah, it looks like he's not taking a lot of blame for things. He's saying, I want us to do things one way. Everybody else wanted other things. So I dipped out. And obviously that's probably not how it went. I'm sure Magic made some mistakes.
There's always two sides to the story.
Yeah.
It's not just one-sided. Magic went on national TV, said his piece, and Rob Pelinka really hasn't commented very much about it.
But I did like Magic did admit to saying that he messed up with Brooke Lopez. That he
Did he
just
say
didn't,
that? I didn't catch that.
If you listen to the interview in full, he talks about how he missed the mark on Brooke Lopez, lost out on a great opportunity there, and now he sees that he's thriving with Milwaukee. And
Lou Williams too.
he also talked about how, he just didn't really get the job done with getting shooters around LeBron, and he realizes that
adding the playmakers was not the right avenue
right,
to take.
and that he admitted to that. So I thought that was pretty good of him to do, saying that he did mess up in some scenarios and admitting to his issues. So I think the interview is good if people want to take a listen to it.
Definitely worth their time just to get a sincere, honest, what seems like an honest, brutally honest take on the Lakers fallout. We'll touch on that a little bit more later. Get some quick thoughts on a few things that happened last week that Joey and Malik talked about on the show, but I was not here, unfortunately, so I didn't get to give my little piece of information on it. John Beilein signs a 5-year deal to coach the Cleveland Cavaliers. So apparently it wasn't all smoke that he would go to Detroit for a contract, just fishing for a contract.
He was just
extension.
smart.
He was just smart. I mean, the added benefits of coaching in the pros compared to coaching in college, especially for a guy of his age right now, it seems like a smarter decision. Probably making a lot more money than what he did in Michigan, and that's probably one of the big draws and another challenge for John.
Better hotels, better food.
Exactly, the perks. They added J.B. Bickerstaff as associate head coach. That happened after you guys went off the air last week. Great get for his staff. A solid associate head coach who has also been an interim head coach in the NBA. So he will be a great factor for John Beilein to lean on. I love it for Cleveland. They have a young squad. They have Kevin Love. I wonder what they'll do this summer with him, if they'll keep him around again. But they have a young squad, and John can grow with this team, establish his style of play that thrived in college basketball, establish that with these young Cavaliers. Dan Gilbert doesn't do a very good job of handling his team, in my opinion, but he did a great job here.
Yeah, it's a great hire, and we're seeing a Beilein type offense kind of trickle into the NBA. So that's something to watch out for. I think they might just keep Kevin Love unless they can find
unless they get some great
solid deal, but I don't know if the market's there anymore. But he fits into that offense. So
I mean, with LeBron gone, Kyrie gone, Kevin Love is the last star from the championship team. I mean, I can definitely see him just holding on to Kevin Love until he decides to retire. On the Michigan side of things, Michigan's in trouble.
Yeah, it's looking a little more rough.
Iggy's gone. Charles Matthews is gone. I'm probably missing a couple others there too. Jordan Poole's gone.
And Jalen Wilson asked for his release papers.
Yep, that's a
Their top
huge.
recruit.
Which we figured that might happen.
But
because that's what me and Malik talked about last week.
But Iggy Brasdeikis, I thought there was a chance to. If John was there, I think he would have taken the combine and come back. But that's not going to happen now. He even said in interviews the reason he's more than likely leaving because John's gone. Juwan Howard, he's one of the finalists for the head coaching job, which has been rumored for a long time. And who was the other? Ed Cooley, Providence head coach, and then who was the other one, Malik?
Luke Yaklich is the assistant coach.
So what's your? I got to go to you first. just quick. I know you guys talked about this on the show last week, but where does Michigan go?
I said the smoothest transition would probably be either Saudi Washington or Luke Yaklich, because they know the program, they know the system. Luke Yaklich implemented the defense. Saudi was the interim head coach when they went overseas last summer when John Beeline couldn't come. He had to stay because of health problems. So I think either one of them could ease the transition, but they probably want to get a brand new head coach and bring in a brand new culture. They don't want to just keep driving the John Beeline bus with him not being here, because that won't work forever, obviously. So it looks like Juwan Howard might be the choice at this point, because all the other big names, they're not really sticking out. I'd love Chris Beard from Texas Tech. I honestly think it would be a really good move for him to come to Michigan.
The one thing, though, that I've heard a lot of people point out is that Chris Beard just took a big contract to go coach. And for him to basically leave that for Michigan, they would have to basically offer Chris Beard Jim Harbaugh money. I don't think anybody in Michigan deserves more money than Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh doesn't even deserve that money.
I'm glad you said that.
To offer Chris Beard that much money, I can't see it happening. I agree. I would like it. But for him to get out of that and come to Michigan, I feel like it would take a lot, and I don't think that's worth it.
What's the time length of this whole thing going down? How long do you think we have to wait until Michigan hires their next head coach?
Honestly, I think before the end of this month, I think they might have a coach.
Yeah,
So
they
by the time we're
definitely
there
have to
next
do
week,
it.
we have a chance.
I think, by the time we do a podcast next week, they might have a coach selected. I don't think they're going to draw this out and just have fans just asking more questions and have also the players in that program, the other coaches. There will be too many questions if they keep this going too long. So I think they'll make a decision soon.
Yeah, they gotta get turned around. I mean, basketball season is technically over right now, but soon workouts will start up and everything. It'll go fast, and they're gonna need to establish what they're gonna do moving forward pretty quickly.
Exactly. Last week as well, you guys did something really cool. Stayed recorded with the NBA draft lottery happening live.
It was a lot of fun.
I watched the episode and I was like, dang, I really wish I was there for that. Especially Joey's Pelicans. Again, the number.
It was a good
1 pick.
moment. It was a good moment.
The excitement, the true excitement in his voice was something to hear. But yeah, to break down the top 11, because that's where changes start to happen in the NBA draft lottery. They did the new draft lottery form this year where they draw into the top 4 spots, not top 3. And there's different percentages for each spot now. There's not one team that gets a 25% chance at the number 1 pick. There's 3, they get 14, which turned out to work fantastically. And if this continues to happen, we might see not the end of tanking, but the end of drastic tanking.
It's funny you said fantastically, because there still seems to be a huge crop of people that think the old way is much better, and that everybody's saying the Knicks deserve the number 1 pick.
Well, those are Knicks fans.
It's so radical.
It's all about who the Knicks. Okay, this is.
I love it. We love it. Yeah.
I mean, if I was a Pistons fan and we had the year, and this was the year that we had the worst record in the league, I'd be like, "What the heck? This is terrible."
Whenever you're a fan of the worst team, it's gonna seem horrible that you don't have the best chance for a top pick. But tanking out in the open is a problem.
And
it's a complete problem.
As all 3 of us are true NBA fans. Yes, we have our teams, but we are a true fan of the league. This is such a better thing for the NBA as a whole. So I would be upset if the Pistons got the number 1 ping pong balls and it was only 14 instead of 25, but it is what it is.
But also now, the Pistons were at one point hovering right around where the Pelicans were
Joe,
in the lottery.
Don't bring that up.
So yeah, Pistons could have had Zion. Saying it here right now.
So it's the top 11. Minnesota, they dropped down. Atlanta's at 10. Washington at 9. Atlanta at 8. Chicago at 7. Phoenix at 6. Cleveland at 5. The Lakers drew into the top 4. Everybody was saying, "Oh, Lakers are getting the number 1 pick." That, to be honest with you, That would have been cool to see
No.
Zion and LeBron. On the
Uh,
same
I'm
I-
glad you weren't
that's
here
not
because
what I
me and
wanted at all.
Malik were
Exactly.
totally against it.
I
It was
would have loved to
killing
see
me.
that.
Fourth was perfect for them.
I don't need the Lakers to get anything good for the next 10 years.
And then
I want them to fall apart.
3 was the New York Knicks, 2 Memphis Grizzlies, and 1 Joey's beloved New Orleans Pelicans.
Knicks fans live reactions. are
Joey's gonna have
priceless.
Pretty
such a great
Priceless.
time going through our mock draft process this year.
This off season is going to be a lot of fun.
When are you getting a Zion jersey?
All
You
the-
have to be getting a
All
Zion
of the
jersey.
talk about AD and all the drama with AD and the Pelicans. It's just so fitting for the Pelicans to get the number 1 seed, and now the ball is in their
And
court.
you know what? That's gonna play into the NBA draft as well. Do they make another move on draft night?
Right.
So
It'll make draft night super interesting, a lot of fun. The teams that are interested in AD are right there, 3 and 4. The Knicks and the Lakers, kind of the highest chance of getting Anthony Davis. And apparently, the Pelicans are saying that they're not going to give Anthony Davis to the Lakers, at least.
it's all smoke, man.
Right. That I don't believe it, but
It's a new. First of all, it's David Griffin's running the show now, so
right.
it's a totally different concept. But all right, we look at how the draft lottery shook out, and yes, we are about a month away from the NBA draft. I believe it's June 22nd. I don't know exactly off the top of my head. I'll figure it out before the end of the show.
I don't either.
But the top 3 is essentially set. New Orleans at number 1 is taking Zion. Memphis at number 2 is going to take John Morant, which they
It's
have
so
Mike
perfect.
It's perfect for them because they already were looking to move Mike Conley and start their rebuild with their young players. Of course, everybody wanted Zion, but to get the number 2 pick in this draft is fantastic for Memphis. At 3, the Knicks, who all but assuredly seem to be settled on R.J. Barrett, who by account, I mean, he was the consensus number 1 going into this season.
Right.
For half of the college basketball
Yeah.
season.
I
it
think
was
people
a-
forget that is that, going into it, everybody was like, RJ Barrett, number 1 overall.
Before he started chucking up 25 shots a game.
Right.
He's
He-
trying to overshadow.
He was efficiently dominating college basketball for
Well,
the most
and
part.
yeah, and even his numbers are very similar to Zion's, if not better, in certain scenarios.
Well, better, yeah, okay, sorry, sidetracked here. The NBA draft is June 20th, 2019. So we are
Okay.
under a month away. But, so outside of the top 3, that's when the draft gets interesting. Nobody knows who's going anywhere after that. Lakers at 4 officially probably start the draft. As of right now, this was the first mock draft after the draft lottery on NBADraft.net, one of the best sites. If you're looking for something with good analysts and good analysis and great content, go to NBADraft.net for NBA draft stuff. They have the Lakers selecting DeAndre Hunter from Virginia at number 4. I have no idea where the Lakers want to go with this pick.
Yeah, they're kind of in trouble.
What's the point of drafting a rookie when you know LeBron and rookies?
Well, I think this pick's going to get traded.
That's why. What are the actual chances they draft somebody? I don't see them using the pick. If that pick doesn't get traded, something is completely off still.
Right.
And then you move down the list, Cleveland. They have Cleveland taking Kobe White, a combo guard. I don't know if I see that. But
I don't see that either. With Colin Sexton.
the player that's been getting a lot of hype, Darius Garland from Vanderbilt. He has been shooting up draft boards. Some say he has a promise from the Lakers. I doubt that. I think his promise is from Phoenix at 6. They are in dire need of a
I'd love
point
to
guard.
see that.
Unless the Lakers can move Lonzo. If like Lonzo's involved in a Anthony Davis trade, well, the pick would be
Well,
involved
I just don't
too.
think they would make a promise to any prospect right now.
Right,
That's
yeah.
my thinking. Regardless of who they end up paying.
But I even think just even thinking about drafting Garland, I think they'd have to be trading Lonzo.
trade Lonzo to Detroit. Lonzo and Blake? Come
Anything-
on.
I'd be cool with that.
Anything to get Reggie.
Then we'll
Miller, I
sign
guess.
Carmelo. Sign
All right,
Carmelo.
you got
Good?
me.
There we go.
LeBron would love having Reggie Jackson. I guarantee it.
What?
He would love having Reggie Jackson.
He would love having a ball hog take the ball away from him.
Yeah,
Reggie probably wouldn't start. Is Rondo still there?
that's true.
Or Reggie wouldn't come
Yeah.
off the bench. He doesn't want to come off the bench
Well,
again.
has
that's
no
too
choice.
bad. That's too bad.
Yeah, and then he's gonna throw a temper
On a winning
tantrum.
on a winning team, he'll come off the bench.
Mm.
And then down the list as well, I'm going to go all the way down to where the Pistons pick just to give an idea of some prospects in the top 15. At 7, they have Chicago with Jarrett Culver from Texas Tech. I love Jarrett Culver. He's one of
He's
my
a
favorite
really good
prospects
player.
in the draft. I think he has star potential personally. Moving down, Atlanta, Cameron Reddish is who
That
they
pick
have.
that would be an amazing.
That could be a
pick to me.
steal.
I think
think
Reddish
it
is
could
going to
be an
end up
amazing
being
pick.
picked in the top 6. I really do. I think Cleveland might get their eyes on Cam Reddish late in
It's
the draft
possible.
process.
He's one that
Very
could be
possible.
all over the board
Yep, I agree with you. Just with how he kind of works out for certain teams.
because like he's one of those players that it's like, are you going to value his skill or his possible issues mentally? That's like his biggest question for a lot of teams. So it depends on what they're going to value and if they can work him in. If Atlanta was to get Cam Reddish, they would. I wouldn't be able to. They could have a starting lineup of Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, Cam Reddish. Those are some snipers.
Well,
John Collins, yeah.
John Collins is. He's
John
gonna turn out to
Collins
be one
just
of the
for-
better big men.
For excitement. They'd be a fun team to watch, I think.
They already are a fun team to watch. Trae
Right.
Young is going to be a great point guard in this league, regardless of his comparisons to Luka Doncic, who's going to be a future MVP. We already know that. But Trae Young is going to be a fantastic point guard, a top 5, top 10 point guard in this league when it's all said and done. Not all time. Let me say that. Not all time, just at one point in the season. At number 9, they have Washington drafting Jackson Hayes out of Texas.
I wish Washington didn't have a top 10 pick, honestly.
Why?
I just want to see that franchise fall apart too.
Well, that's NBA purgatory. I mean, that's where the Pistons have been. They haven't done anything.
But that's the Pistons drafting.
Washington does not draft as well. They got John Wall at the number 1 pick and Bradley Beal at 4. So I'm not really concerned.
I
with what
also
they're
don't
drafting.
think Jackson Hayes is going to do much for.
Well,
him.
I think he's a hype player. He's one of these guys that you get a huge amount of hype
he jumps
for.
high.
Yeah,
He can get some rebounds. Yeah,
it's all potential.
Yeah.
That's what it is with Jackson Hayes.
that classic draft word.
Exactly. At 10, they have Atlanta. Again, this is via Dallas. Rui Hachimura out of Gonzaga. 11, Minnesota. They have Nazir Little, who is a prospect for the Pistons. The Pistons did interview him at the Combine. 12, Charlotte. Bruno Fernando from Maryland. 13, Miami. Dude from France, Saku.
Doumbia.
NBA, that was
there are
good,
a few,
Joe, yeah.
There are a few European prospects I have no idea about that I need to do my research on those dudes. 'Cause I
It's
don't know
basically
anything about
just
them.
Doumbia this year, I believe, for the most part. At least up there in the lottery.
Okay. I've heard talk of a few, but yeah, he's the one I've seen in most first rounds.
Yeah.
And then at 14 with Boston, Nikhil Alexander-Walker, shooting guard.
And with the 15th
I
pick
hope-
in the
I hope-
NBA
I
draft,
hope 16 is who I've seen in other mock drafts.
the
'cause-
Pistons select Bol
Yeah,
Bol.
No, 16 Bol to Brooklyn is what I've seen, and that right
No, they
there.
have Bol to Indiana at 18, which that doesn't make sense either.
Pistons
If he
should
gets
take
down,
him.
okay,
Bol to Brooklyn would be fantastic.
if he drops one more spot to 19 into San Antonio, my God.
Yeah,
My God.
don't let that happen.
Pop isn't retiring.
Pop
if
is
he
ready to
gets
go.
Bol.
Pop is just salivating at the idea of Bol dropping that far.
Right.
But at 15, they have Keldon Johnson from Kentucky going to the Pistons.
I
Combo
also
guard
I wouldn't
forward.
mind us taking his name just the shooting guard from USC. He was a
Kevin
freshman.
Porter Jr.
Yeah, Kevin Porter is his skill was beyond
I
most college players I've seen this season.
I do not think
He
he'll be
was-
there at 15.
Probably
think-
not. Probably not.
Where do they have him going in here? They don't even have him going in they have him going in the second round, which I highly doubt that's going to stand. He had a great combine. I heard he's been doing really well in the interviews. Yeah, to me, he's going to be
he's
going to go
all
to the
around.
lottery.
He's an instant like 14, 15 point per game scorer right now on a bad team.
All right, I'm going to pose this question to you guys right now.
I have no idea.
June
I like the answer.
June 20th. Do the Pistons have their pick?
I hope so.
Yes.
I say no.
Unless they can move
Oh.
Drummond. If they attach the pick to Drummond, I'm cool.
I don't think they're trading Drummond.
I don't either.
think it's
I
happening.
don't either. That's the only way, though, that I would accept them using the pick to trade.
I think they're going to trade it for Mike Conley.
What else would they package in that?
Probably Bruce Brown, Reggie Jackson's expiring contract, or John Lure's expiring. You get
I might be okay with that. Depending on how the draft goes.
I wouldn't. I want more prospects personally, but
Ultimately, I do too, but if they're going to make a move,
I'm okay with
I'm
it.
okay
Yeah,
with Mike
I'm on the same
Conley.
wavelength as you.
Just pair it with Andre. Just get rid of him. The time is now.
You could get value for Andre too. You
Yeah.
really could balance this
Still
roster
true.
out pretty well if you just trade Andre. We all know Gorse ain't going to do that. But
Find out where Bol Bol's going.
you don't
Trade
even need
Drummond.
That. No, you don't even need that. You can sign a solid center in free agency and just go about your business that way.
Can you? Because they got Eric Moreland a few years ago, and
They didn't have their attentions on a starting center though at that time. That was literally a training camp.
And I liked Aaron Baines, but I don't think that's gonna happen again. We don't get lucky like that.
Well, I'm just
Myers
saying-
Leonard.
Myers, let's do it.
Okay, let's be serious here. I think Myers
Is he
Leonard.
gonna be a free agent? I don't know what.
Yeah, I think he is.
I
I'm
have
pretty
no
sure he
idea.
is.
I don't know.
We are a pro Myers Leonard podcast
Trade the 15th
here. So.
pick from Myers Leonard straight up.
Portland, wait, are you
Straight
serious
up.
about this? Just take it.
Just let us do our thing, all right?
We have a plan. But yeah, we'll get into more draft talk as we get closer because we are essentially 4 weeks away.
The 15th and Drummond for Myers Leonard and CJ McCollum.
Well, Portland wouldn't do that.
I can't wait till we do our mock draft. I loved the one we did last.
Oh
year.
yeah.
Jacob Evans got some minutes last night
Heck yeah, Jacob Evans did.
and didn't do anything, but he played.
Hey,
He didn't even look like an NBA player.
Malik
He
and
looked
I
so
were very
lost.
high on Jacob Evans last year. It
Yeah,
was a good time. It was a good time.
happens.
But you know what? We said the Hawks were going to win the NBA championship in a few years. So Trae Young.
Well, they
Who said the Hawks were going to win the
Me.
NBA championship?
they have another good draft though set up. Where
They
they have
do.
the 8th and the 10th.
Yeah.
Like if they could get, like we're saying, Cam Reddish, and if they, I don't know if they go Rui Hachimura. That doesn't seem to make sense for me.
Rui at the 5.
See,
Jonathan
after you
Four?
get Cam Reddish, I would
Maybe.
go for like Bol.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. Like if they went Cam Reddish into Bol,
Yeah.
they'd be a snipe
That would
squad.
be insane.
Because then you have John. You can play John
Like,
Collins at his true
that's a
position,
sellout.
at
Right.
power forward.
That
Bol-
is a sellout crowd.
Bol shoots threes. Like they would just have snipers and John Collins, one of the most athletic players in the NBA. That'd be I would love to watch them
Hawks
play.
are coming for that Eastern Conference championship.
Kevin
They're
Herter is one
coming.
of my favorite young guys.
But yeah, we will talk more about NBA draft stuff. Probably each week we'll bring up. There's going to be stuff fizzling in about NBA draft prospects in the lead up to the draft, and of course
All the trade stuff,
all the trade stuff,
possibilities.
the show prior to the draft. So whatever it is, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it may be, turn out to be, that'll be our NBA mock
Did we
draft
do the
show.
whole first round last week? No?
Yeah, we did the whole first
Okay.
round, and then we did the Pistons second round pick.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll do again this year.
Now that the Pistons finally have second round picks again.
And they have a first round pick.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
Oh my gosh, I'm hyped.
Just outside the lottery. Perfect spot for him.
Perfect to get Kawhi Leonard, the next Kawhi, the next Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Or another Donovan Mitchell miss, another Paul George miss, another
Listen, we're being positive right now. Okay,
Devin
move
Booker
on.
miss.
Move on.
I've been away for the show for 1 week, Joe.
I thought Devin Booker was going to be terrible, so I can't even judge.
I
that
think he was
one.
going to be terrible, but
Yeah.
I was
I didn't think he was going to be good at all.
all aboard Team Stanley Johnson. I just was.
I was too.
Jesus. Let's go back to the Magic backstabbed by Rob Pelinka. Lakers are a freaking mess. Where do they go from here? Can anyone trust Rob Pelinka now?
I just want to say, you said the Magic, and I thought you were talking about Orlando. Magic Johnson is now the Magic.
The Magic.
I hope everybody knows that. Whenever we say the Magic, we're talking about Irvin Johnson.
Irvin the Magic Johnson.
Exactly. Okay. Well,
Are they a mess? Do you
let's
trust
go
Rob
over this
Pelinka?
again.
Do you trust Rob Pelinka?
Did the Magic ruin? Okay. Honestly, with this Frank Vogel hire, and I don't know. I have no idea until I see what they do in the draft. I really won't be able to judge where they're going from here because I have to see the next move they make after this Frank Vogel hire because I don't know who was on board with this Frank Vogel
Well,
hire.
did you guys see the question in his introductory press conference by one of the reporters? Said, Rob, we know Frank Vogel wasn't your first
I
candidate.
didn't see the clip. I saw.
Yeah.
I heard
He
somebody
wa-
ask a
He wasn't
crazy
your first
question.
candidate or your second, and may have not been your third.
Oh man.
And you could see it zooms in on Frank Vogel, and he's just
Rob
like,
Pelinka's face is just like,
and no, Rob goes on to answer the question, but it's just like Frank's right there, guys.
I mean, at the same time, though, I'm sure Frank Vogel knows that.
And it was a valid question too. It just was so awkward.
Right.
But to answer my own question, can you trust Rob Pelinka now? I don't think so. He's shown that he's going to backstab somebody.
I don't think you can trust anybody. I don't trust the buses. I don't trust Rob Pelinka. I definitely don't trust Kurt Rambis to have any input
Oh
in
my
anything.
god!
It definitely puts a
NBA
damper
talk.
on this organization as a whole.
Oh, 100%. This era of Lakers basketball post Kobe has been You draft all this talent. Every player they've drafted since like 2014, they've all ended up being good players, and you've done nothing. And it
just
you've
shows
done
the true
nothing.
dysfunction of this franchise. Personnel-wise, they've done almost everything right you could do to build a successful team. Yes, they've had their misses.
Before the season, it seems like they've
Yeah.
been doing everything right the past 5 years.
I mean, of
but
course,
once the season starts,
they have some misses, but their misses are with like role players like Brook
Yeah.
Lopez and signing Lance Stevenson. Nothing detrimental. You bring in the best player at the time in the NBA. He's not anymore. LeBron James. You draft Kyle Kuzma. You draft Josh Hart. Lonzo Ball,
Good pick,
with all the
yeah.
hype and everything, don't get me wrong, he's still a good player. He's still going to turn out
if
to be a really
it
good
wasn't
point
for
guard.
his dad, people would be completely fine with Lonzo Ball
100%.
right now.
If Lonzo ever establishes a perimeter shot, he will be a really good player in the NBA. But I mean, I can list out all these players, not even to mention Brandon Ingram. Yes, he hasn't lived up to the hype, but he's
still a good player.
He's a starting caliber
Yeah.
small forward in this league. Just the amount of dysfunction to ruin this franchise with all the prospects they've had, key players they've signed. I'm not going to say it's sad because I don't like the Lakers. I don't care. But for Lakers fans, I feel bad for them.
Somewhat. A
Yeah.
little.
Yeah,
Maybe not.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Never take that back. I take that back. Take it back.
And now most of those players might get traded, and they'll become all-stars probably.
What happens at the start of this season when they still don't trade anybody for Anthony Davis, but they go through a whole offseason of those rumors again? It's going to be so much. I hope they're the NBA training camp team this year.
One of the biggest problems too now is that Brandon Ingram is a very questionable trade asset because of blood clots that he's
I
had
didn't see that.
recently.
I did not see that.
So people are nervous about it. Like the doctor says, obviously, he's good. He seems clear, but we've seen it
Was
with
that a
Chris
Laker
Bosh.
doctor,
Like
though? Was that a Laker doctor?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember, but I know hearing about it. So whenever you hear blood clots, ever since the Chris Bosh thing, people get concerned about it. So that might be a big question mark. He was one of their key pieces to add to an Anthony Davis type trade.
When did that come out? I didn't catch that.
That's pretty recently. Do you know?
I think that news came out like 2-3 weeks ago.
Okay, so it's been a while, but
It wasn't like breaking news. So
I just
yeah,
know
I'm
when
not
they were
surprised that a lot
when
of
they
people
started
didn't see
bringing
it.
up Anthony Davis talks again, they had been talking about that on ESPN and stuff.
Yeah, but to me, I think just look at the Ibaka Zubac trade, and that will show you the true dysfunction within this organization. Honestly, LeBron is hurt. The young players are playing their hearts out, and they're winning games. And Ibaka Zubac is coming to his own. As soon as LeBron comes back, you trade him for Mike Muscala.
However, Magic Johnson did address that on his First Take interview as well. I believe it was Max Kellerman that called him out for it. Maybe Stephen A. Maybe they both did it collectively. But Magic said, "Well, Stephen A. What's Zubac's numbers in the playoffs?" And Stephen A. couldn't really answer, so they had to look it up. I think he averaged 5 points and 5 rebounds.
It was his first.
Right?
his
No,
first time in the playoffs.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like it does make a little bit of sense. But then they pulled up his
Traded
stats
for Mike Muscala,
after the
man.
trade up until the playoffs, and he had numbers that were very similar to his Lakers numbers. Magic's answer was basically that Zubac really thrived in their offense with pick and rolls. But yeah, I ultimately I agree with you. I'm just saying he did try to answer that and say that he felt like it was a necessary trade.
Mike Muscala.
Yeah, I don't agree with
The
that.
Magic. Words from the Magic.
Magic
Words
moves.
from the Magic. All right, let's get into some NBA playoff action. What's happening on the floor in the playoffs? Well, the Warriors are going back to the NBA Finals. 5 straight NBA Finals. First team to do it, I think, since the 60s.
I think it was 66-67 Celtics, I believe.
LeBron's done it 8 straight years. That ended this year. They absolutely demolished the Blazers collectively. Yes, there was a couple close games. Game 3 and 4 could have gone to Portland. But we witnessed Draymond Green's best playoff performance in this Western Conference Finals. We saw Steph Curry get his mojo back. He hasn't been really the best playoff performer, at least to his potential as a player. In this since their run started.
36, 7, and 6.
He had a triple-double last night with 37. Yeah.
Well, that was his average
That was
for
his
the
average for the series.
the
for the series. On I believe 47% shooting and 42 from the three. Yeah. Wow.
The Warriors beat the Clippers in 6. Then they beat who'd they play in the second round?
The Rockets.
The Rockets in 6. They sweep the Blazers. This is a bad time to be playing the Warriors in the NBA Finals.
I think people think it's absurd to say the Warriors are better without Kevin Durant. The Clippers beat you twice with Kevin Durant. The Rockets beat you twice with Kevin Durant.
Well, I will say I think the
And
Rockets were better than the Blazers.
Honestly,
It's hard to say.
maybe slightly because of James Harden.
I would
And
take
Clint
the
Capella
Rockets
at the 5.
and the
But
Blazers.
this is something that I've been trying to say like all season. Everybody's been talking about, when KD leaves, I can't wait because the Warriors are going to be no good anymore. I
Okay.
think you guys have said it a couple
Okay.
times. Like, the Warriors are just fine.
Exactly. They won.
Without
They won
KD.
before him,
Right. They just become the old Warriors.
which are more dangerous.
Right. Without KD, it lets Draymond facilitate the offense more, which is like his natural role in this
Exactly.
team. When KD's on the team, Draymond kind of doesn't really know what to do at times because KD has to have the ball. Ultimately, they are better with KD just because then they have another closer behind Stephen Clay and somebody that can just take over a game at any moment. But without him, they run the more natural Warriors, that old group that has played for 6 years now or whatever. And they're just fine without him. And it kind of gets everybody else to step back up. Andre Iguodala has played great in these playoffs, I think.
I think
But he didn't even play last night. He was out last night, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did
Yeah, I
play
think
last
so.
night.
Yeah.
But there's more pressure on them with Kevin Durant because then they have to be the unstoppable Monstars, and if they lose 2 games, people lose their minds. Without KD, it's Steph is there, Clay's there, Draymond's there. We'll see what they do, and all the pressure is off their shoulders. It's just back to okay, let's play our game. Us 3, we know what to do with each other. Let's just play our game.
Here's the way I look at it. They are unbeatable with Kevin Durant in the lineup. They are almost unbeatable without him.
They're a well-oiled machine without Kevin Durant, but they're almost an all-star team with Kevin Durant.
They are an all-star team with Kevin Durant.
That's why I prefer them without Kevin Durant because that's a machine that's
well,
almost
that's more fun to
unstop-
watch too.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's just watching that offense play. That's the true essence of how this Warriors dynasty started. Was how we saw last night. That's how this
Exactly.
Warriors dynasty started, and this is the fulfillment of all that hard work. KD really just jumped in and was like, "Hey guys, I'll win some rings with you."
This is the 2016 team that I'd watch every single time they were on TV because watching them it's art. It's amazing to watch.
Can we also pay our respects really quick to Rodney Hood, who's been swept by the Warriors 3 straight seasons?
Future Piston.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Jazz, Cavs, not the Blazers. Sorry, man.
Wait. So if he goes to the Pistons,
He
I
won't
mean-
have to worry about it.
no, then it's destined we make the play or we make the NBA Finals. He's gotta get swept
Or
again.
I
he'll
don't
pull
know.
another Cavs and he'll fall apart because the Pistons franchise is.
Why do you guys bring this hate on me?
I'm not putting it on.
It's not on you. It's on
I'm
the
putting it on the
franchise of the
Pistons, yeah.
Pistons. Yeah.
Blame Tom Gores, man.
I do every day. Any other thoughts on this series though? Going into the finals, I mean, Warriors. I think I called the Warriors in a sweep. Is what I said.
I said I would be disappointed in the Blazers if they didn't make it more competitive.
They
and
made it competitive.
They
though.
did make it competitive, but I expected them to win a game or two. But these Warriors, I can't be mad at the Trailblazers for losing to these.
The only game
this
that wasn't
version of the
competitive was
Warriors.
Game 1.
Yeah.
Game 1 was the only one that wasn't competitive.
But they were up by almost 20 in both of their home games.
Going into this series, I think a lot of people were confident that most likely the Bucks, possibly the Raptors, had a chance against the Warriors. I think that's squashed. We'll talk about those games next, but I don't think there's any way that
I
the
disagree.
Bucks
with you.
can win
I
at this
disagree.
point.
Let's move on. Let's talk about those Bucks and Raptors.
All right, let's do it.
Series is 2-1 right now in favor of Milwaukee. Milwaukee played terribly in Game 3 and still almost won in double overtime. Raptors got away with a double dribble by Kawhi late in that game to help seal the victory. Not taking anything away from Kawhi, but that definitely helped. The Bucks are going to win tonight, and they're going to finish the series off in 5. That's what's going to happen because they are a juggernaut. This is going to be the most complete team the Warriors have seen in an NBA Finals. The most complete. Do you agree?
Can't really argue. I mean,
You
they
can't.
played LeBron the last.
Literally
many
just
years.
LeBron.
So
That LeBron Kyrie team, I think that was damn near a complete team. The team that beat them.
It was a pretty complete team.
JR wasn't losing his
they at
mind
least
yet.
bought into the system.
Exactly.
But this Bucks team is more talented.
All right.
I can't agree with that.
I can. Overall.
Yeah.
Overall.
Listen, just because Ersan Ilyasova and Pat Connaughton are playing better,
Just
I can't
'cause
say
you-
they're more talented.
Malcolm Brogdon and George Hill are playing fantastic for that team.
They're playing fantastic, but they're
Brooke
not more
Lopez is
talented.
playing like an NBA like
Eric Bledsoe hasn't
They're not
played
more
well at
talented.
all.
in this series. He's played well.
Right.
in
Eric,
the
That's
Eric
what I'm saying.
Bledsoe, besides Giannis, is probably their most talented player. They just have a team.
No, he's not.
That fits
No, he's not. Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton's an
Eric
all-star.
Bledsoe is more talented.
No.
Chris Middleton is a great
No.
shooter. And can
Eric
score.
Bledsoe's more
Chris
athletic.
Middleton isn't more
Eric
talented.
Bledsoe is more athletic. Chris Middleton is more talented.
Eric Bledsoe can do more
'Cause he's
Chris
more
Middleton-
athletic.
Chris Middleton shoots and does it great.
You don't
He does
wa-
his job.
Eric Bledsoe does his job. Get the ball to Giannis, hit the open
Oh
three,
my God,
and jump and dunk.
you're completely underselling it.
You're underselling Chris
know damn
Middleton.
well.
He was an
I
NBA
love Eric,
All-Star.
I love Chris Middleton.
I can say I love Eric Bledsoe and still tell you that Chris Middleton's the better player.
There have been all stars that J.R. Smith is more talented than most of the era.
For a second, I thought you were going to say J.R. Smith is more talented than Chris Middleton, and I was...
He is. J.R. Smith's talent was incredible. He just didn't put it together to be great. Do you know how many insanely talented players were never all stars? Don't act like it's not true.
J.R. Smith is not
J.R.
more
Smith's
talented than Chris
talent was
Middleton.
insane. J.R. Smith went to China and averaged like 112 for like 3 games and then he came back and dominated as a 6-man.
Joey, can you help me out on this?
Dang it. Malik, I was with you until
J.R.
you brought up China.
J.R. Smith's talent was
You had it, Malik. You
incredible.
had it.
J.R. Smith's talent was incredible.
I was with you. You brought up China.
J.R. Smith never cared enough to be as great. Rudy Gay's talent was incredible. He could never put it together. to be an
I do
all-star.
agree that I think a lot of people underrated J.R. Smith, and they forget how good of a player he
There are
was.
players that have had incredible talent, but could never put it together to be all-star. Lamar Odom had incredible talent. He was a fantastic hooper. He could do it all. Couldn't be an all-star.
I think he could have been. Well, he could have been. He just wasn't.
It's a lot of dudes that just weren't all-stars, but the talent was through the roof.
I just think as a collective, the Bucks have more talent than that Cavs team.
They're deeper, for
Right.
sure.
Right.
Their bench, they go 10 deep at least, the Bucks.
I mean, if you take their top 2 players, LeBron and Kyrie, obviously they're better than the Bucks' top 2 players.
All right, I'm going to pose this question to you guys.
No.
If you're starting...
Go ahead.
I really don't want to ask the question.
I'm trying to
anymore.
preemptively answer your questions.
Well, it's not a yes or no answer,
All right, go ahead then.
so you just sounded dumb.
Sometimes you got to take a hit.
Who would you want on your team right now? Kawhi or Giannis? Doesn't matter how your team is built. Who do you want on your team right now?
We talking like
going-
a year or for the rest of time?
going-
How they are as a player right now, you could just stretch for whatever amount of time. But how they are playing right now,
Kawhi.
Kawhi.
that's where I lean to. Don't get me wrong. I think Giannis is going to be the better player.
He has the higher ceiling.
He has a higher ceiling. He has the better team around him. But Kawhi,
But you just said you're starting a team.
yeah,
So-
Kawhi is the better. I tend to lean the better player.
Sometimes his supporting cast plays well. Sometimes they don't. It's on and off, and he's still winning them games no matter what. I think if Giannis' supporting cast fell off, I think it would be incredibly hard for him to just win a game for his team.
Because Kawhi can shoot from the perimeter.
Exactly. A team can scheme for Giannis if his team is off, and they can stop Giannis. It's hard to scheme for Kawhi. He can do everything on offense.
And he plays defense
Everything.
just as good as he does
Exactly.
offense.
But Giannis does that too. Giannis is a
Yeah, but
player of the year.
that's even more just because of his natural length.
Fair enough. But Kawhi's also got baseball mitts on his hands.
True.
How does the series end? It's 2-1 right now. I say Bucks in 5. What do you guys think?
I think the Bucks end up winning. I'll take them in 6.
Any chance this thing goes 7? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely to go 6. Just because Kyle Lowry has actually played better than I thought in this playoffs for once. So if he has another good game, there's a possibility that Raptors could pull another one out.
You guys picking Raptors tonight? Either of you?
I'll take them tonight.
Man, if they win tonight, though, that would be that would make things interesting. Yeah, I think they might win tonight. But I think the Bucks still take it.
I hope the Raptors win just because I want a series, something that lasts a little bit longer. Otherwise, we have to wait till May 31st for the NBA Finals to start. So let's keep this one going a little bit longer. That's about it for playoff talk right now. Before we move on, we'll touch a little bit on the Tigers. Joey wants to talk about the Tigers for some reason.
What?
Well, do you think, because you were talking about, you're
Okay,
kind of
Tigers
giving me,
talk.
you're giving me flack about the Warriors. You think the Bucks could beat the Warriors?
Oh, yeah, I do. I think they have the offensive scheme that could break the Warriors. I think they could spread the Warriors defense so thin where they are just as explosive offensively as the Warriors are. And then it just comes out to who's hot.
I can't go that
I
far.
disagree.
Why?
They can't be explosive.
Have you not watched?
Because if you look,
they are the highest paced offense in both the regular season and the playoffs, scoring the most points in both of those.
And
the Warriors,
this Warriors team that we just saw with no KD, no DeMarcus, this Warriors team is
I
completely
don't even
different.
throw DeMarcus in
but
there. He's a non-factor.
this Warriors
I have to
team,
include him just because I have to.
Okay.
I have to include
this Warriors team made that offense basically.
That's fine. I'm not taking anything from that.
I'm just saying, if you look at the best perimeter players for the Warriors, you got Steph, Clay, possibly KD. We'll see if he plays or not. And then you take the best perimeter players for the Bucks: Middleton, Brook Lopez, Brogdon. I would say just efficiency.
Bledsoe's been shooting the ball well too.
You take Warriors every day, and I just think that having two of the better defenders in the league in Draymond and Klay Thompson to lock down some shooters, which Brook Lopez is the only issue that I can even see. And there's no way he averages 20 points against the Warriors. And that's what I think he would have to do for the Bucks to have a chance.
I disagree. I could see him averaging 20 because I think he could be a loss factor. Their attention is going to be so
He's
focused on
too
Giannis.
inconsistent in their offense, though. Like, we saw him scored, 27 that first game? 29. And then the next game, I think he had 6.
That's
Like,
what
that
I'm
happens a lot, though,
Also-
in the way that their offense works.
Also, Eric Bledsoe shows up and disappears every other game in the playoffs too.
Well, this playoffs he's been pretty consistent up until this Raptors series.
And like I've said before, we've seen KD guard guys like LeBron, and he's gone up. KD's been able to score against Kawhi almost easily.
Well, I
I
think
hate to say easily,
I
but
think Giannis would be the biggest issue for Kevin Durant, just because of his length.
yeah.
Because nobody can usually get a hand high enough for Kevin Durant. That's
Right.
probably including Kawhi.
Right.
Giannis is
But
a different
then-
story.
But at the same time, then it puts Giannis out on the perimeter, and Steph can create and get into the lanes and kick
That's
it
true,
out.
too.
And
That's
I
true,
think
too.
Draymond can annoy Giannis just enough to get him.
That too.
slightly, to get him off his.
I
game.
think that was a key. I'm glad you brought that up, because that was another thing I was going to say.
Yeah, Giannis hasn't met a defender as
Right.
smart.
The Warriors.
Kawhi is a great defender.
The
Kawhi's a
Warriors-
great defender, but Draymond
Gets in your
isn't
head.
as physically gifted as Kawhi, so Draymond has to use different things to lock.
It will
people
really
down.
test Giannis's mental.
Exactly.
Skill.
mental and physical, because Draymond isn't lean and just skinny. He's
Right.
gonna push Giannis. He's going to
I think
push
the
him.
Warriors can throw enough at Giannis. Obviously, he's a dominant player.
Yeah.
He's gonna get his no matter what you do. But they can throw guys like Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala.
Draymond can annoy him.
There's a lot of guys that can kind of frustrate him, that have played solid defense for years in the league, that have seen everybody and anybody. And I don't think Giannis is going to necessarily scare them. Like all those guys have guarded LeBron year in and year out, and he's more of a perimeter player than Giannis. So they have to guard that. I think it's just going to be too hard. Like the Warriors are just so good in so many aspects. I think the Bucks could put up a fight, but like I said, I think Brook Lopez is like their only like winning matchup on that team.
I think there will be at least 1 or 2 games where Giannis takes 6 or 7 threes because Draymond is in his head, and like Giannis will be missing it like inside, and he'll just come down and start pulling from 3, and Draymond will just be talking to him, and Giannis won't know how to respond. It'll be all of these dudes' first finals.
That's another thing to keep in mind too.
It'll be all of their first finals.
I'm not going to say I'm going to pick the Bucks to win, but I think it would not surprise me if they did.
Oh, it would definitely surprise me.
Would you be surprised if the Warriors swept the Bucks?
Yes.
How surprised?
Extremely.
Okay.
As of right now, I would say Warriors in 6.
To me, right now, they look unstoppable. The Warriors look unstoppable to me.
We also have to keep in mind, too, Portland, yes, they have Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Enes Kanter is solid, but they were missing their starting center in Yusuf Nurkic.
They were.
Their wing players, they're solid. They're role players. There's nothing special. And that team was very competitive against the Warriors. I'm not taking anything from Portland. I'm taking a little bit from Golden State because I think they played their best team in the second round.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, they're going up against Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. And if they play the Bucks, they're going up against Eric Bledsoe and Chris Middleton, who are a step below.
Also, Portland.
But they didn't have to play against Giannis.
Right.
And
I understand.
in both of the home games, Portland figured out a way to get up 17, 18, almost 20 on the Warriors. And because the Warriors just have a different gear and a different level of playmakers, they can just go out there and just turn it on and just make a team look. They'll make a team look like they're not playing hard when they're playing as hard as they can.
Does anybody know what their regular season matchup looked like?
With the Bucks?
Yeah. That'd be an
No.
interesting one to look up. Because I don't actually remember.
A few days ago, I saw the matchup numbers between Kevin Durant and Giannis in the regular season, and they were pretty similar during the season. Like
Yeah.
Kevin Durant averaged like 4 more points. Of course, Giannis had more rebounds and assists.
Because I think it comes down to another one of those series where the Warriors, if you just let Giannis do his thing, similar to a James Harden, you lock everybody else down. The Bucks don't have an answer.
Yeah, that'll be hard if the Warriors come out like that.
Because you just let Giannis kind of get to the paint a little bit, but as long as you close out on shooters, he can't really kick it out, and that's kind of where their offense thrives.
So they played both their games prior to the new year.
So early on in the season.
Early on. November 8th was the first one. Bucks beat them by 23 in Milwaukee. They put up 134 on them. And then
There were a whole bunch of games where the Warriors just got blown out for no reason.
And then the Warriors beat the Bucks by 10, which it was a close game all the way throughout until free throws took it away. In the December 7th game.
Okay.
And Giannis put up 27, 12, and 6 on average. Curry averaged just under 28. Nothing really other than that really sticks out in particular.
Who do you think is the X factor
In this series?
in the finals? Who do you think is going to be the
I
X
think
factor?
Joey already brought him up. Brook Lopez. If Brook plays hot and is a consistent 45% three-point shooter for the entire series, this series can be close because I think you can count on the role players to play pretty well for the Bucks. George Hill has NBA Finals experience.
He also has a missed free throw experience, too.
He can learn from that.
I think Chris Middleton is the X factor because he, along with Giannis, he's the other All-Star. Chris Middleton almost has to raise his game above Klay Thompson's for them to win that series.
Good luck.
Chris Middleton has to take that next gear, and I don't know if Chris Middleton can really go up that high.
See, the problem is Klay Thompson doesn't have to elevate his game above Chris Middleton, per se.
Yeah. Klay just has to be Klay.
He's a better talent, but if Chris Middleton has to be better than Klay Thompson just has to be even and guard him really tough
Yeah.
because he's got Steph and KD.
Exactly.
And that's like the advantage of the Warriors. Now, if KD doesn't play, the Warriors are going to have a little bit more trouble just because that loses one of the defenders for Giannis.
Chris Middleton has to be going all series for the Bucks to beat them.
It'll be fun to see. I think it would be a shocker if Toronto came out of this series a winner. We can all say that collectively.
And I think Toronto could get swept by the Warriors.
Oh yeah, I agree. So we're all rooting for the Bucks.
Yeah, I want a good series. I'm not trying to discredit the Bucks. I'm just saying, if you think about it, I think they might struggle.
I might rock my Giannis shirt the whole series.
Go for it.
I might have to bring him some luck. But that's gonna do it for our show this week. It was a fun one. We didn't get to talk about their Tigers, Joe. I'm sorry.
They're
I
18 and
apologize.
I'll give a quick update. They're 18 and 26. They just lost 6 straight, but they played Houston and Oakland, so those are good teams. You know, they're the Tigers. We said they're going to struggle this year.
And that was your Tigers update.
Bye,
They're
Joey.
still like the worst team in the league at home runs. So,
All right. We will see you guys next week.
bye.
I think Juwan Howard might be the next guy.
What?
Go blue.
He might be the next guy.